The Taco Bell commercial miracle, Nikola Jokić, 2014. In 2014, Jokić was considered a project prospect who was larger and slower than the typical NBA players, and many teams questioned whether he was ready for the league. Jokić was selected 41st overall by the Denver Nuggets, and that very moment coincided with a Taco Bell Cuarito commercial on the broadcast, a quirky piece of draft night history. All teams passed on him in the first round before Denver selected him with the 41st pick. The narrative back then was quite simple. He was too slow, too soft, and lacked an NBA-ready body. But while everyone else was busy obsessing over 40-yard dash times and bench press reps, the Nuggets found a player who possessed a basketball IQ that has since redefined the center position. By December 2025, Jokić was a three-time league MVP, 2023 Finals MVP, and a key figure in Denver's championship. His career averages are roughly 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 7.3 assists per game, an exceptional output for a second-round pick. Before the Nuggets selected Jokić, quite a number of teams with multiple second-round picks simply passed on him, but apparently he didn't look like what they had simply anticipated. They did allow a generational talent to slip into the middle of the second round. Jokić, a late second-round pick, is now regarded as one of the greatest draft steals in NBA history. The medical red flag in Cleveland, Joel Embiid, 2014. In the summer of 2014, the Cleveland Cavaliers held the number 1 overall pick and a chance to build a dynasty before LeBron James even announced his decision to return. The consensus best player on the board was Joel Embiid, a 7'2" monster from Kansas who gets to move like a guard but defends like a concrete wall. However, just days before the draft, news broke of a stress fracture in his right foot. Panic immediately set in. Cleveland, terrified of a Greg Oden repeat, opted for the safer pick in Andrew Wiggins. The Bucks followed suit at number 2, taking Jabari Parker. Embiid fell to the Philadelphia 76ers at 3, beginning a career that would be defined by both physical recovery and absolute interior dominance. By the time late 2025 rolled around, the mistake was glaring. While Wiggins has had a solid career as a high-level role player, Embiid, on the other hand, blossomed into a generational force, winning the 2023 MVP and back-to-back scoring titles. His career scoring average sits at a staggering 27.9 points per game, bolstered by an incredible 33.1 point per game season in his MVP year. If Cleveland had taken Embiid at 1, he could have paired with LeBron and Kyrie Irving, creating a dominant front court that might have altered the team's championship trajectory. Instead, they allowed a 7-foot talent to anchor Philadelphia's franchise for the next decade. For Milwaukee, passing on Embiid meant forgoing the opportunity to pair him with a young Giannis Antetokounmpo, a combination that could have been quite formidable. The sniper hidden in Kentucky, Devin Booker, 2015. In 2015, the draft board was filled with project wings and big men, but hidden at the 13th spot was a scoring assassin that 12 teams flat out ignored. Devin Booker spent his only year at Kentucky as a sixth man, a role that tricked scouts into thinking he was just a specialist rather than a superstar in waiting. Teams like the Detroit Pistons, who took Stanley Johnson at 8, and the Charlotte Hornets, who took Frank Kaminsky at 9, were desperate for offensive firepower. They prioritized college production and physicals over the pure, unadulterated skill set that Booker possessed. By December 2025, while Booker was leading Phoenix to the 2021 Finals and racking up all NBA honors, he had become one of the league's elite scorers. He isn't just a shooter, he is a mid-range god who famously dropped 70 points in a single game at just 20 years old. His career average of 24.5 points per game is significantly higher than the players taken immediately ahead of him. The gap is truly staggering when you look at the stats. While Booker was leading Phoenix to the 2021 Finals and racking up scoring titles, while some of the players drafted ahead of him failed to make the same impact, Detroit missed the chance to build a backcourt with an elite scorer like Booker. Instead, they spent years in the lottery. This was a classic case of overthinking the room. Scouts saw a bench player at Kentucky and missed the most refined shooting guard prospect since Kobe Bryant. The skinny guard who conquered, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 2018. The 2018 NBA draft will forever be remembered for Luka Dončić, but another massive oversight happened just a few picks later. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was drafted 11th overall by the Charlotte Hornets and immediately shipped to the Clippers in a trade that, in hindsight, looks questionable. Several teams passed on Shai, including the New York Knicks and the Phoenix Suns, who prioritized trading for Mikal Bridges with the 10th pick. They had a common concern, which was his wiry frame. Scouts were quite worried he might struggle with the physicality of the NBA. Fast forward to 2025, and Shai has become a generational guard. With the Oklahoma City Thunder, he has steadily developed into one of the team's core engines, and now he gets to average over 30 points per game in his career-high season, and cementing himself as one of the league's most efficient scorers and playmakers. Shai has now become a grandmaster at breaking defenses and creating space. On the other end, some of the players who were drafted ahead of him have not had the same impact, and this is just another sting reminder that raw skill, vision, and IQ can outweigh strength and size in the modern NBA. Teams that simply overlooked him are now watching him dominate every night, proving that sometimes the most understated player can change the trajectory of a franchise. Stop NBA police right here. Have you smashed that subscribe button yet? Do that right now and turn on the notification bell icon. The Iowa State Oversight, Tyrese Halliburton, 2020. The 2020 NBA draft was a maze of uncertainty that involved Tyrese Halliburton, and he somehow slipped through the cracks. Despite being ranked among the most advanced and efficient guards in college basketball, he fell to the 12th pick, largely because teams questioned his athleticism and unconventional shooting mechanics. Prior to him, the Detroit Pistons selected Killian Hayes with the 7th overall pick, the New York Knicks took Obi Toppin 8th, and the Washington Wizards took Denny Avdija 9th. Halliburton began his career with the Sacramento Kings and later joined the Indiana Pacers, where he quickly established himself as the team's offensive powerhouse. He was quite known for his precision passing, unselfish play, and ability to create both for himself and his teammates. He has already established himself as one of the most reliable point guards in the league. Halliburton can score efficiently, hit threes at a near 40%, and make those around him better, turning sets into almost an effective opportunity. Despite those drafted ahead of him having had uneven careers, Halliburton has consistently impressed the league with his composure, decision-making, and versatility. He had led the Indiana Pacers on a historic run to the NBA Finals in the 2024 to 2025 season, where they ultimately lost in a grueling 7-game series to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. While he hasn't clung to the championship yet, he has no doubt shown us the stuff he's made of. The Milwaukee Bucks' Dirk Debacle, 1998. On draft night in 1998, the Milwaukee Bucks held the 9th overall pick and selected a skinny blonde teenager from Germany named Dirk Nowitzki. The Bucks traded Dirk Nowitzki's draft rights along with Pat Garrity, the 19th overall pick, to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Robert Tractor Traylor, the 6th overall pick. At about 300 pounds, Traylor was expected to be a dominant force in the paint. Instead, he struggled with weight and conditioning, averaging just 4.8 points over a 7-year career. Meanwhile, Dirk Nowitzki redefined the power forward position forever. He became the first European player to win league MVP, led the Mavericks to a legendary 2011 championship, and joined the exclusive 30,000-point club. By the time he retired, Dirk had become the Mavericks' all-time leading scorer, a 14-time All-Star, and the franchise's most decorated player. The Bucks essentially traded away 20 years of Hall of Fame production for 2 seasons of a backup center. It remains the most lopsided draft day trade in the history of the sport, a cautionary tale about valuing NBA-ready bodies over generational skill. The Bucks would eventually find a generational talent in Giannis Antetokounmpo, drafted in 2013, 15 years after missing out on Dirk. The Minnesota point guard paradox, 2009. In 2009, the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't just pass on Stephen Curry once, they did it twice. holding back-to-back picks at 5th and 6th, the Wolves were desperate for a franchise point guard. Scouts viewed the babyface shooter from Davidson as too slight and potentially injury-prone to handle the rigors, nitty-gritty of the NBA. Instead, they drafted Ricky Rubio at 5th and Johnny Flynn at 6th. While Rubio had a solid and ongoing career, Flynn played 3 full seasons and parts of a 4th before injuries, and limited production ended his time in the NBA. 1 pick later, at 7th, the Golden State Warriors sprinted to the podium to grab Curry. The rest is literal history. Steph went on to become the greatest shooter to ever walk the earth, winning 4 championships and 2 MVP awards, including the only unanimous MVP in league history. He didn't just win games, he changed the entire geometry of basketball, forcing every team to play small ball just to survive. As we look at the NBA in 2025, Curry's 3,500 plus career three-pointers stand as a mountain no one may ever climb. For Minnesota, it was a double draft night miss. Holding back-to-back picks, they passed on a generational talent at point guard in favor of 2 other players at the same position. The 56 team blind spot, 1999. The 1999 NBA draft is famous for a lot of things, but nothing compares to what happened at pick number 57. 56 players were selected before the San Antonio Spurs finally took a flyer on a left-handed guard from Argentina named Manu Ginobili. Teams passed on him because he was an international unknown playing in the Italian league, and even the Spurs didn't bring him over for 3 years. But when he finally arrived, Manu became the ultimate X factor, and he brought a high IQ, creative style of play that helped popularize the Euro step and contributed to 4 Spurs championships. Every team with picks before 57 had the chance to draft a future Hall of Famer, an Olympic gold medalist, and arguably the greatest sixth man in history. Guys like Frederick Weiss and Alexander Radojevic were taken in the first round, while the ultimate winner was sitting right there in the second. Manu's career, 14,000 points, don't even begin to tell the story of his impact. He was the soul of the Spurs dynasty. In a nutshell, many general managers who passed on him in 1999 likely regret missing a future Hall of Famer who was right in front of them. The Jazz and the local legend, 2012. Sometimes the biggest draft mistake isn't about who you picked, but who you didn't trade up for when he was playing right in your backyard. In 2012, Damian Lillard was a superstar at Weber State in Ogden, Utah, just 30 miles north of the Jazz's home arena. He was a local legend, a high-scoring guard who had already won over the entire state. The Utah Jazz needed a franchise point guard, but they actually lacked a first-round pick in 2012 entirely, having traded it to Minnesota in the Al Jefferson deal. The Jazz did not attempt to move up in the draft to select their local star, leaving the opportunity for another team to grab him. Portland selected Lillard with the 6th pick, and he made an immediate impact, unanimously winning Rookie of the Year and evolving into one of the most lethal clutch performers the league has ever seen. The Jazz eventually tried to fill that void by drafting Trey Burke a year later, and later lucking into Donovan Mitchell, but the what-if of Lillard remains a sore spot for Salt Lake City fans. Imagine a world where the local hero stayed home to lead the Jazz during the 2010s. By the time Lillard was named to the NBA 75th anniversary team, he had cemented his status as a generational floor general with over 22,000 career points. For Utah, it was a rare case of a superstar developing in their own shadows, only for them to watch him flourish in a rival's jersey for over a decade. The 2018 Luka Oversight. We finish our list with perhaps the most baffling modern draft story, the 2018 Luka Dončić Oversight. Luka was the youngest MVP in EuroLeague history and arguably the most decorated prospect to ever enter the NBA draft, yet teams still overthought his potential. The Phoenix Suns took DeAndre Ayton first, the Sacramento Kings took Marvin Bagley III second, and the Atlanta Hawks officially selected Luka Dončić third overall, but immediately traded his draft rights to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Trae Young, selected fifth, and a future first-round pick. While Ayton helped the Suns reach a finals and Trae is an all-star, Luka has proven to be a tier above. He is a walking triple-double who has made 5 consecutive All-NBA first teams by the age of 25. He recently led the Mavericks to the 2024 NBA Finals, further establishing himself as one of the league's premier talents. As of December 2025, Luka continues on a historic trajectory, now commanding the floor for the Los Angeles Lakers following his massive trade from Dallas earlier this year, while the teams that passed on him are still answering for it. Passing on a 6'7" point guard with the vision of Larry Bird and the scoring of James Harden is a decision that will be studied by front offices for the next 50 years. It's the ultimate proof that sometimes the most obvious superstar is the one everyone overthinks. And there you have it. If you have followed through up here, do let me know in the comment section which of these team situations got you in your feelings. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button to stay updated with everything NBA, and give this video a thumbs up so others can see it. And don't snooze, don't lose.